to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pwn ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pwn Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Pwnophobia Cogswell, and you're lucky that I made it live tonight for episode number 343, as I am a shit show of a giant box of crap. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. It's going to be one of those days.
You're making up a bunch of
How is that
that
different
aren't
than
even
normal?
going together.
I'm just making things up to try to explain to people that today is a day, and it's Monday, and it has been a Monday. But,
See, you're lucky that I showed up so you didn't have to two-man this.
dude, we would have been fine. Like, I've done one two-man episode my entire life, and it turned out great.
That's not a very good sample
No,
size.
that's one.
And so Tyr carried me. That was many episodes ago. I think the last time we would have...
ago.
So, like, for the entirety, he was here.
Well, like, yeah. Tally's here.
Hey!
Ed Sheeran.
Hey, I made it.
And that's it. That's everybody's here on this podcast tonight.
Yeah, Mitch is being
Serial.
lazy. Punch is in somewhere warmer and sunnier than where I'm at.
That son of a bitch.
I know.
I hope he
Where's he at?
burns. He's in San Diego,
Yeah, San Diego.
but for some kind of work
still not-
convention or something.
Oh.
Not actual vacation. Yeah.
It's warm and sunny here all the time, so.
Oh, fuck off. You want to drive down to Miami in October and have dinner?
Is that where your port is?
Yeah, we're leaving. I will be gone for an entire week, all the way out in October. So quite a ways from now.
We'll see. We'll see. I have family down there still, so.
Yeah. So, but you guys don't have. You guys get to deal with me until October that I'm gone for a week. So it'll be an
my
entire
God.
podcast, no contact. Can you guys imagine?
So everyone listening now, just cut it off and then tune in October. That's when it'll be good again.
Don't do that. Instead, tune in next weekend, March 26th, 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, as we go live on twitch.tv/TForce Podcast for the Trinity Force Network presents the Intra Podcast Tournament. We are going to be taking donations all night to help us fund our PAX trip as we go out there. And we have some really big PAX news coming up for you. Hopefully I'll be able to announce that for next week. But just trust when I say that it's big PAX news. I know it's the announcement, but just trust.
We keep saying that.
Just
We
trust.
keep just
We
dangling
just-
the carrot
Yeah,
a little bit
Every
more.
single time I've dangled a carrot in front of these listeners, it has turned out something great for the people that are listening. I just want to throw that out there. Every single time. I've never let you guys down. So come help us.
And if you can find
Fucking tease
an
Adam.
example of Adam letting you down, please email us.
Feedback at Trinity Force Podcast. Yes. I promise it could be huge. If you're going to be at PAX, you'll have to come, stop by and say hi. We will be there. There should be about 20 of us coming out there. That's why we're doing this fundraiser, because we want to be able to pay for all the flights and get everybody out there. And it's going to bring a ton of content for you between all the contacts we make and all the interviews we're going to be bringing and everything else that's going to go down into PAX. And if you're there, it's going to be a ton of content for you there. And we just need a little bit extra help to push us over the edge. Or if you just want to come and support us and watch us on stream, that's helpful too. Anything that comes help, twitch.tv/TForce Podcast. Yeah, we're doing an intra podcast tournament where every single podcast, every single person in the network that we can bring on that day is going to be playing this 5v5. We're going to be shoutcasted, and it's just going to be a really fun time. And you can make us do anything. Donate, $10. We'll play with frozen mallets. Donate $50. We'll sell them and buy ZZ Rots. We don't care, right? Like just toss money
Except
at us.
for the
and we'll
frozen
do it.
mallet, please no.
Oh, it's going to happen. I've already told you. I said we have to prepare for the frozen mallets. They are coming.
Yeah,
way
I'm
it
ready
can't
to do
happen.
some crazy streaming if we, do some ranked for donations with whatever champions people want. Maybe role play some champions. I don't know. I'll figure something out.
We know how much you like role playing. This could actually get really creepy really fast, so we're just going to move on forward, because if we were in private, I'd probably make fun of you in other ways. But
I have no shame. It's not possible.
Okay, I'm gonna keep moving because I could really make fun of you right now. Oh God, I can't do this on the podcast because then it makes me. Yeah. Anyway, I already look like an asshole. Why not do it anyway?
You're already the heel, Adam.
I know. Yeah, in wrestling terms, I would be the heel. What? Like, I really would be. What do they call?
Does that make me the Rock or something?
Wasn't The Rock a heel at one point? Didn't he start as a heel and then kind of turn into?
For like
Yes.
very
That is
minute
what
part of his career. Like 90% of it, I feel like
The
he
part
was
no one remembers.
Yeah, right. When he first came in. Then like Jericho, he kind of like went heel. What's the term in wrestling? Someone's gonna like slap me in the head. What's the term for the good guy in wrestling?
I only remember heel for some reason.
Isn't it like I think it's like no, the fans are rats if I remember correctly. Someone's gonna correct me. I can't remember what the hero is. There's the heel, and then we'll just call him hero. Anyway,
Is it the face?
are you gonna Google it, Chiro?
I just did.
What is it?
Is it the face?
Is it the face? So
Is it the face?
Business
I think
says it's the face.
It's the face.
All right, cool. There it is. The face.
yeah.
I know nothing about wrestling. That is more that I've learned about wrestling in that one Google search than I would ever care about knowing otherwise.
You didn't grow up watch wrestling, Chiro?
Fuck no.
I loved it. I used to go like Stone Cold T-shirts and shit. Middle school, it was great.
Dude, I played all those video games. WWE SmackDown or WWF SmackDown on the PlayStation.
I know we're not. I know we're talking League of Legends, but I really want to go buy the new WWE game, the 2016 WWE game.
I feel really bad. My dad sat next to Goldberg on a plane in first class during his
and
heyday.
had no idea who it was.
Well, he was he was kind of sketchily dressed up, but my dad got this fucking like autographed picture with him and all this stuff and brought it home, and I was not at all interested.
Oh my god! You're like, great.
I am a bad child.
Yeah, Goldberg when he had like 100 title defenses or some bullshit. Yeah, I don't know.
I think this is the second time in 2 weeks wrestling's got brought up because I remember that we were talking about podcast awards and Chris Jericho.
Yep.
You just wait. You just wait until the podcast awards come around and we have to watch Chris Jericho. No, actually, they got rid of. No, I will say with the podcast awards, that's supposed to. I think it's supposed to come up in April. They're going to start doing that. And we are going to go for the running for it again this year because they got rid of the New Media Expo. Last year they partnered with New Media Expo, if that's the correct term, correct company. And they were the ones who put on the podcast awards, and they even said it was a shit show. Like, they put a post out, the podcast awards people did, and said, yeah, we made a mistake by
I was about to say
partnering."
the year before that, where it was basically just a really bad slideshow, was still better than last year.
So, anyway, sorry. Reading a message about how my boss will be out of work tomorrow. Let's talk about League of Legends now that we spent 10 minutes bullshitting about wrestling and heels and faces. I'm just gonna leave this. I'm gonna push the soapbox. I'm gonna stand off it. I'm gonna push it toward Talanasty because he really has some kind of like soapbox to stand on and
to
scream.
jump
The
on it for a
soapbox,
while.
the soapbox has kind of been building slowly for a little while, and it kind of started. If you heard me shoutcasting the tournament that we did a couple weeks ago while I was shoutcasting and whatnot, I noticed we had like 99% of every jungler go the blue smite item. Even though they were playing tank junglers like Zac and whatnot, and I just over and over again, I was like, it'd be really nice if they had some vision in the enemy jungle. And I don't know why I see it a lot more in higher elos when I'm playing my main account. I'm playing with diamonds and whatnot, and everyone, if you're going to an aggressive jungler like Elise, or you're going like a Warwick or a Master Yi that really wants the on hit, I get why you wouldn't want to go those. But if you're going like a Gragas or a Zac, or you're going any of these, or a Mumu or tank junglers, I don't understand why people are still going blue smite. Trackers is so good. I mean, you used to think about Sightstone in terms of gold generation. You should think about Tracker's Knife in the same way. And just, its vision helps so much, and you can't buy wards anymore, so it's even more useful than it used to be. So that was kind of my little rant, and I just don't know why I'm the only person buying it and I'm carrying with it and putting. I mean, on my first back, this is my dream first back. If you get either a gank off or if you do a prolonged clear, get your smite item upgrade with the trackers or poach or whatever it's called, and a pink ward, and there you go. And you can place 3 wards with your with that and your
2.
trinket plus trinket, so that's 3, and then your pink ward, and then just take over a side of the map and get the scuttle crab, and you just have an immense amount of vision, and you can keep eyes on the main jungle at all times. I mean,
I've noticed a lot more tank junglers and just over this past weekend, and I've seen Tracker's Knife just because there's been a couple tanks coming back, and I like the vision. If I'm not playing a champion that, like, if I'm playing somebody like Shyvana, who is like, okay, I can duel, or I need that extra to take move speed from somebody or whatever, I can see a reason why people are still taking blue, and that it steals move speed. So if I can slow somebody on the enemy team, my teammates can catch up to them. I would say that the vision is way more worth it unless you can catch up to them and stun them. But I mean, I really, if you're going to go a tanky jungler, I'd say go Tracker's Knife all the way. If you're going more of a bruiser, the blue trinket, and if you're going somebody that is really, really good at dueling, and there's somebody on the enemy team who's probably going to want to duel you, you go red.
I don't even see. That's the problem. I've been thinking about this. Like, there's not really that many times that as a jungler you're dueling somebody. Even going into mid and late.
It depends on what champion you're playing.
It depends. It's like one or two champions, really. I mean, even Master Yi would probably like the Chilling Smite. I mean, the duel is really good for him because he can go in 1v1, but even Chilling Smite helps you get closer to somebody or keep him near you.
It's not just the dueling thing. It becomes a situation, too, where, like, if you know you're going to become a target that the enemy team is going to want to kill, and there's somebody on the enemy team that has a big amount of damage that they can put out on you to remove you from the map, being able to smite them and reduce any of that damage coming in might be the difference between you surviving and not surviving. And that's something all, that...
And just as the same vein, like having that ward could, you could make that kind of argument where,
I mean,
for every
it's situational for what's happening, but, like, as somebody who really likes to get in those duels, I like the red one. I really like red jungle item. I like it more than I like the blue one. But I think the green one is probably the best overall jungle item. The Tracker's Knife is probably the best overall, just for...
Well, even yesterday,
vision is big right now, and people forget about it.
Vision is big, and the higher you get, the more people know how to take advantage of it, and they don't ignore their fucking mini map and have it like covered with a fucking third cup of beer. But like, even when we were playing 5-man, and we're 99% of the time going to be going up against other 5-men, I see where it gets chanked junglers that are going blue smite. Like, why the hell did the enemy of Moon would take blue smite? Like, or why?
I don't see the point of ever having blue smite.
And then you just get vision control and completely take their jungle camp, so where they're ganking, so you can counter gank and just make their life miserable. I mean, I understand it. It's kind of a selfish item, and if you're of the mentality, I have to solo carry, and I'm the Devour style jungler, I'm going to solo carry, I'm going to hyper carry. I mean, and if that's your style, I completely understand it. But if you are playing a tank jungler, and that's more my style, is more the team-oriented team carry with just ganks and then scale as a tank up late game. That's been my meta. I've always been stronger in that type of game and whatnot. Like, even though I play a shit ton of Elise, I player like early game and transition into tanky and and whatnot. That style of my meta has always fit me better, and I understand why you want to do it for the aggressive zones, but I don't understand why you go a tank and then go it. So that's my little soapbox.
Well, we can stay on the soapbox because this kind of brings me to another discussion. I want to talk about Rift Herald. I jokingly brought it up earlier, but the joke was more tongue-in-cheek than the actual message of it.
I mean, it's true, though.
Yeah, that's why I said the joke was more tongue-in-cheek than the message, where I said, what I said to these guys earlier was, I said, Rift Herald has gone from must-take to, well, I have Devour, so I should get the 5 stacks, to, oh, it's a consolation prize because I didn't keep Dragon Control. Like, the tally just did the knockdown with every step of it. Like, Rift Herald has become less and less valuable, and the gold that you generate off it for your team, 50 gold a person, isn't worth it compared to the buffs and the amount of gold you can receive from the dragon.
Right. To put things into perspective,
but this is more. This is. Hold on a second, Sean. This is more of talking about, like, if I am purposely trying to take Rift Herald all the time. Rift Herald has really become the consolation prize where I guess I can't take anything else. I'm going to take Rift Herald now.
Go ahead. On the flip. So, 50 gold per person for taking Rift Herald. And for doing it, you have a guaranteed back for whoever's tanking it for the most part. There are a few people that take no damage while doing Rift Herald. Usually it's one of the things, you kill somebody in mid lane or top lane, you're not going to get messed with by the enemy jungler. There's nothing they can do about it. You go in and somebody's leaving that pit with half health because they've been taking it the whole time. So you basically, for the most part, maybe even less than half health. So you have to back. Gromp gives 86 gold for taking it, and it's not going to even hurt you at all compared to Rift Herald. Every other jungle camp gives you more gold too. Like 50 gold per person doesn't, for what it does and for the fact that it's going to make you almost dip out, it's not that great considering that the buff, other than what it gives to whoever has it, what it does to minions isn't really even that noticeable in lane. If it made the melee minions tankier, it would be terrifying. That
Oh yeah, if it was like a mini way Baron better buff, where
that's
you
exactly
got some
right.
extra stats.
But
I like the buff. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be some more. I think Riot, people have seen this in the League of Legends subreddit for sure, and they're gonna call me out for like, oh, you copying Monty, but like, it does. We need more global objectives or different bounties on global objectives than what we have to make this game a little more interesting if we want the game to evolve a bit. And I say that because the Rift Herald buff is really nice if you can use it in conjunction with a big push with your team, because that extra attacks from the minions and whatnot can help mow down a turret pretty quickly. I mean, we used it the other day when we took two towers and 2 inhibitors by 20 minutes because we got the Rift Herald. Well, we didn't even have it at that time. They were taking Rift. They were taking Rift Herald. And we
they
pushed
were
shit
taking
down.
Rift, and we took 2 inhibs for it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like I used to love Rift Herald. I thought it was like awesome to have, but that's because it gave you so much on top of the snowball and experience that you're receiving. And when you have somebody that can clear the wave right back, they're not taking that much extra damage, and
Well, they haven't
received
they haven't
from it.
nerfed what it gives you unless you're a devourer jungler.
Right. But
they buffed Dragon.
There's so many junglers running around with Devour right now, though. Like it does still matter when you're still seeing like Udyr bans every game, and people are still worried about Master Yi, and Shyvana for that matter. I mean, all 3 of them are going Devour, and I mean 2 of them can take Devour by themselves at like level 6. I mean, take
Herald,
if they play it right.
Let's see. It looks like Rift Herald gives you 200 experience. That's slightly more than
Gromp gives 190.
Yeah, 190. So it looks like Dragon starts off a lot lower but scales upwards. I would say I'll play devil's advocate, but with the caveat that trading Dragon for that is not worth it. Dragon's still stronger, but we're looking in the past 5 years I've played, there has been nothing on that side of the map until Baron spawns. There's been absolutely nothing. So now there's at least something. And this something is impactful if you make the most use out of it. 40 movement speed on your jungler, instant recall, and global gold, although it's not nearly as much as the old global gold back before Dragon gave buffs, it gave 150 global gold, which was really, really strong. 50 global gold, very, very tuned down, but it's still impactful.
I mean, it's good. It's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's good for everyone, but mostly you're going to have to make a play with whoever gets that. I would say don't ever trade it for Dragon unless you're behind, and then you take whatever trades you can take. And that's the key, because a lot of people, when they're behind, they'll try to force things instead of just taking trades wherever you can across the map. So take trades for it if you're behind, but don't ever forcefully go for that. And then on the other hand, make sure that jungler or the top laner, if the top laner is super ahead, let him take it and just push down free turret. If the jungler, otherwise the jungler should be taking it most of the time and making ganks happen with it.
I mean, you say push down free turret, but like if there's a top laner that has good clear, the minions don't matter. Like that buff doesn't really increase their ability to push that much harder against you.
But if they already have an advantage.
If you're able to get an advantage, that's fine.
That's why I said if the top laner already has an advantage and is already up 2 kills, then that little difference will will help them, because they're already probably on the verge of pushing it down to begin with.
Now, I've been toying around a little bit with this idea, and I don't know, so I'm gonna bounce it off you guys. What if they made the Rift Herald buff better than it is now, so that you can either make the choice to do Dragon or Rift Herald? Rift Herald would be the ideal thing, and it basically offsets the normal point of the game where it's like, okay, you need to focus way more on the top side of the map after, let's say, like 20-25 minutes, because the enemy team can take Baron, and if they take Baron, they have a big advantage, whatever. Or you can focus on, hey, let's start building up Dragon earlier. if they buffed the Rift Herald a bit and then dropped its despawn time to like 17, 18 minutes rather than the 1950 if you're fighting it, or the 1955 if you're fighting it. That way that like, hey, this is important, top lane. You cannot just ignore it because this is good. You can go and get dragons because dragons might win you the game, and it's still a smart thing. Like, it's the long play to do, but it makes it feel that like, oh, hey, there's this thing top that if you get it, you know, that's pretty good, but like, I would rather it be a mini Baron buff than what it is now.
I think that makes it too powerful at that point. Like, you get the trade-off. You're either going for late game or early game, but then you have to toe the line between is it too powerful for early game and is the dragging stacking up to it. I think that's the line they're trying to toe, is to make it so you can get some kind of advantage early game with it, but I don't think the problem is necessarily what Dragon and Rift Herald are giving you. I think it's more of what happens going into mid-game with the turrets and the death timers, right? Because we see a lot of LCS games where people don't fight early that much anymore, and they strategically try to pick fights into the mid and late game because death timers get so long that if you wipe 3 of them off, you can automatically start pushing towers down because they don't have very much defense compared to, you know, the items you picked up by farming and the dragon buffs you picked up. Like, I think the problem extends more into the mid game and mid and late game than it does extend in the early game because of the risks you have to take to get these items, you know, or what it may, you know,
Objective.
the objective controls. So I really do think they need to shorten death timers just a hair going into mid and late game because, one, you shouldn't get wiped out at 25 minutes and the game be decided.
I will say it was pretty ridiculous that we had 2 inhibs down pre 20 minutes. And the thing, like,
but that's just that's just outplaying and out rotating the team.
No, that's fine. But that game did not feel like a stomp up until that point.
Oh, right.
Like, I can understand if it was a game where, like, you know, we run in and we're up 20 kills by whatever, but we were up by like 4 or 5 kills. That was just a situation where like we had a good roll of killing people in mid and bottom at the same time, and then the 2 people on their team ignored us while we took mid turret and bottom turret, went to do Rift Herald, and we had pushed all the way through and killed their base turret, you know, their tier 3 turret, and grouped killed 1 inhib, and then by the time the others were spawning, killed the second when we had to sacrifice you for it, but we got it. Yeah, like, that's a joke. We weren't that ahead.
Right. And that's more of a problem with team communication too, because I see a lot of people not in 3-man, 2-man, and even solo queue or even 5-man teams. It doesn't matter how many people you have on the team that fall into a trap of, I think I can do this more quickly than I can. And junglers, since we're kind of talking jungling on this podcast, more or less, will fall in that trap when it comes to getting a level, like maybe level 6. And I'm going to say this, it's really, really, really hard to make this decision. Right? That's like, I could go take red and hit level 6 and gank bottom, but the enemy jungler is coming down at level 5 while you are working on red to counter gank. Had you decided to skip your level 6 and walk 5 because you knew the enemy jungler might be there, you could have potentially turned that gank around. Or there's a gank going on mid lane, I'm at race. Do I stop and kill this and get level 6 and then, or the next level, whatever it may be, and then go help them out?
A really good example of this would be right at the beginning of your clear. So you clear the bottom side of your jungle. Their jungler can clear slightly faster than you. And you're level 3 by the time you finish your red buff. They have both buffs and they're running up top. And you can either go and get Krugs to finish your level 4, but if the enemy jungler is just slightly ahead of you on clear, they're going to get top lane before you, and they might be able to swing a kill if your top laner is pushed up. Whereas if you know that they have a slightly quicker clear, you could just forego that level 4 and go and help out and potentially either save a guy or end up flipping the gank.
Yeah, and I think that's sorry, Tally. I think that's the exact situation I'm talking about. It's just really hard as a jungler to make that decision when I do it. And I think it's a 50-50 call. It's not something I can tell you on this podcast. You should do this 100% of the time. You have to make that 50-50 call, and that comes from jungle experience.
It depends on the matchups and the top laner matchup. That's something I constantly think about if I'm starting bot side and I'm assuming the enemy jungler is doing the same so they get a better leash. Is can we win this 2v2 top? And what is my clear speed? And if they're going to get their 10 seconds before me, am I a slower jungler because I'm weaker? And is my top laner weaker? Do we want to just completely I go in and ward for him, and then hopefully it doesn't get ganked, and I power farm so, we can scale better. You don't want to force a 2v2, or you don't want to try to counter gank and force the 2v2 unless you could win it.
Right.
With either you have stronger champions or you really get them to overcommit and then counter gank.
And you can also, if you're deciding for sure that you're going to commit to go get that next level or whatever, and you are seeing a laner start to push, you can always ping them back and they might listen to it, or at least play a little bit safer, because you're like, okay, I would know that just from jungling a whole bunch, this guy's probably going to gank here, but I'm going to be selfish and go get that level. At least I might be able to give this guy a heads up that, oh, hey, that guy's playing whoever the fuck, and he's probably going to get top before I do. So just be aware.
Here's a point for Tracker's Knife. Later in the game, when that could happen, when you're working for 5 or 6 and you already have your Tracker's Knife, you could go drop that ward in the bush before you kill the Gromp for top lane. And then the person could potentially see the jungler walk up in there while you were being, well, we're going to call it selfish for this reason, because you want 6, but while you were killing the enemy, or killing the jungler. Or, excuse me, jungle camps. I'm being thrown off by all the typing. Furious typing in the background. He kind of looks at her like, hey. Anyway.
I wouldn't worry about it. But I don't know. That's a big point of contention. And that, honestly, I think that's more of an experience thing than anything else. Yeah. Otherwise, people, they fall into their own zone. It's kind of the same thing about, top laners just sitting up in the top lane island forever. Only instead junglers are like, I'm jungling, and I don't have to pay attention to things unless I want to gank right now.
You gotta. It's not something we can teach you. There's pieces on the podcast where we can just kind of tell you to give you an idea of how to play around it, what you should be doing.
I mean, the one thing I would say is I don't know what other junglers do, but I know, like, when I was playing with you guys the other night or yesterday afternoon, I was constantly saying, hey, I'm going to do red buff, I'll be bot in 25 seconds, or I am recalling, I'll be bot in 15 seconds to gank, I have ult, he doesn't, like that type of stuff, and having knowledge of that type of stuff. I'm constantly hitting tab to see the level of the other jungler, to see his CS, to see if he's about to hit 6 versus me and whatnot. That type of stuff is kind of mind gamey and whatnot. That's definitely helpful. And I know that's an arranged team setting, but you can do the same thing in solo queue. You could ping on my way bot and then type, be there in 25 seconds, got to get red first. That sort of stuff can really help you climb, just communicating.
I would really like. So I lost my first series this last weekend, and I'm not salty about it. I'm only salty about one person, and it wasn't. It was just one person playing the game. No, I didn't play with you guys. Like, I had a lot of fun playing 5v5s with you guys this weekend.
I did
regardless
too.
of the wins and losses. We had really fun time. No, it was we all got to a series that weekend in some form or fashion, and I went and played my series solo and ended up losing 0-2.
Grats to Whale for Diamond.
Yeah, grats Whale on Diamond for sure.
You're the best, buddy.
No, there was a game where I had a LeBlanc. The LeBlanc got first blood on the Annie. And she ended up killing her again, so she's 2-0. And then somehow she ends up dying to her, like, twice in a row with no ganks. Like, these were solo. Like, this LeBlanc had solo killed this Annie twice in a row. And ended up dying to her a couple times. And also there was more than just that went wrong that game. Like, LeBlanc didn't roam bottom when she should have. She roamed top instead when it was pretty... to me, there was these things. It's pretty obvious when your jungler's going bottom and the mid laners disappeared that you should probably head bottom too and not go top. And if there's something I want to tell everybody about solo queue, you might not believe me, is that people like to play Aram in solo queue, okay? The game hits about 15 minutes and some shit goes down somewhere on the map. Everybody kind of just convenes down into
when fights start happening, people like the clump.
Yeah, so people clump in mid lane. And if you are playing top, bottom, middle, whatever lane you're playing, I think it's better off for you to kind of stand around mid lane just a little bit longer than you think you need to in solo queue, especially if, like, the enemy team, a couple people are half-life, because a fight is most likely going to break out, especially around mid gold or lower elo, because, again, players like to clump up.
Someone's going to get caught.
Yeah.
A lot of times just solo queue falls into that. It's one team groups, and then they just catch one person. And when there's when one person's still top and a team catches one guy 5v4, it's now a 5v3, and they just take whatever turret or objective they feel like at the time.
And that's what happened. And that's exactly what happened in this game. Like, the Trundle decided to leave, and the enemy team is, a couple of them are half life. We're pretty full. I've got ultimate up as a Moo, so I obviously have a team fight deciding ultimate, and he leaves to go top. When the four of us were thinking team fight, and you can't convey that in solo queue. So this is just something out there to think about. Like, kind of give those team fights maybe a couple extra seconds than what you think they need, and then leave, because you know how we always talk about don't argue with people. He goes, I thought that was the wrong move. I said, I think you're wrong, but I don't have time to talk to you. I'll be top in a minute, and that's where I left it at, right? And we just kept playing the game. And you can't really say much more than that, which I could sit there and argue with the guy for 15 minutes, and I think I'd eventually be able to sway his opinion, especially if I could show him why he was wrong. But that goes back to you can't talk to the other team. So if you are that guy, kind of stick around for a little bit longer.
I kind of want to play devil's advocate for this, because there are plenty of times where you can get into games. I had a game last night, got to play Udyr. It was great. I had like a fully sated Devourer by 15 minutes. I ended up getting our bottom a double kill, and then as soon as the enemy lane came, they just immediately double killed bot, and then as soon as my bot came back, they immediately double killed him again. So like, from going from an advantage to just immediate like detriment disadvantage.
Oh yeah.
The enemy had a Scion top, Sejuani jungle, and a Malphite mid, and the Malphite didn't even go AP, just went tanky. And it got to the point where like it didn't really matter. We weren't winning team fights because they had way, way, way better like team fight power with a Malphite, Sejuani, Scion ultimate combo. If one lands, the others land. So it became like a situation where like, all right, I'm not really going to be that helpful because there's 3 tanks in the way and I'm never going to be able to get to Jinx. And then there's a Lulu who can slow me down or just do whatever. So I had to try my best to just go to a lane and split push and do whatever, buy a ZZ Rot, drop it, do that. Because like in a situation like that, there's like a 4% chance that you'll ever flip a team fight around. And that's if like 2 people on the enemy team end up just completely going way too ham underneath turrets and like really looking for that pick.
Well, speaking to that point makes sense though. You're Udyr, you have Phoenix, you have ZZ Rot. You could split push way faster than a Trundle ever can hope to split push. But you don't have like a team deciding ultimate either.
If Trundle goes Titanic Hydra, which a lot of Trundles are doing right now, he can do that. Yes. And if he didn't, then he's an idiot and he should have just stayed with you guys.
No, he would.
But if he did, you could easily do that. You could easily do that. You could pick up ZZ Rot. You could do a bunch of stuff. And be, I mean, in that regard, like, if he had done something like that, that would have probably been the smarter play. If you guys could at least hold them at towers and try to get some objectives, you're still hemorrhaging, but you're not. You can keep the hemorrhaging down to a minimum while still trying to take objectives on the map.
Yeah, I think it's too hard in solo queue to.
It gets easier the higher you go for
it does. It really does. See, that's the problem with solo queue. That's a problem with solo queue, but it's not specifically the solo queue problem. It's the players don't understand the metagame so well. There's so many posts that come into our summoner school that say, I've won my lane. Why am I not winning the game? And that's because you don't have the metagame knowledge
wherewithal to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
The knowledge to know, hey, I have this advantage. Where can I apply this to the point on the enemy team that's weakest in order to continue fracturing their base?
Okay, so I did a replay review. If you know who I'm talking about, no malice meant, buddy. You learned a lot because you told me you did and you learned it, right? So I'm going to use you as my example because you're the freshest guy in my head. You played Darius top lane. Something that I don't think we've preached enough about how to use teleport. We should probably sit down and kind of give ideas of how to use teleport and come up with a bunch of different ways. But like,
you're supposed to use it to make sure you don't miss CS, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely not. But that's what he like. I don't know. He responded to me, and what he said to me was, I thought I should use teleport to always be pushing my advantage in lane. And I thought to myself, and when I read that, I thought, where did you get that information from? Who told you that word? You read it, But then I thought, maybe it's the way that we on the podcast are conveying how to play this game. that, we always say push your advantage. So teleporting back to the lane when you're 5-0 or even 2-0 is pushing your advantage because you're putting pressure on the turret. But if you can't auto attack the turret and you can't put pressure on the person under the turret with ranged attacks or spells, you're not really pushing your advantage, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not using your teleport properly. And I think that goes back to a lot of people in solo queue is that when they win lane, instead of using that teleport to take other objectives like Dragon, Barons, Towers, they're trying to just continually throw their body at their lane. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out the best way to tell people to open your mind and look at the minimap.
Okay. So there's more than one way to skin a cat when it comes to teleporting, and I'm not making a Rengar joke. Little tip. Let's say you killed somebody in lane. They have teleport, you have teleport. They're dead, so they're automatically going to start back at base. Let's say that you did the smart thing, you push the minion wave as fast as you could so that it gets to turret, and it forces them to teleport top in order to get the wave or pieces of the wave, or just because they're behind. So
and
they're
experience.
They're trying to get something, whether it be gold experience or whatever. When you back, you don't have to teleport back to lane. You know that they blew their teleport. Walk back to lane, and guess what? You can go and gank bot lane if they throw a deep ward anywhere for you, or a ward anywhere for you. And that becomes a situation too, like as long as the enemy top laner doesn't have some way to just immediately disrupt you when you start to teleport, or you're smart enough to, oh, hey, looks like a fight's starting to break out in bot lane, a terrible fart's breaking out in bot lane, and you want to back off and then teleport down. That's a smart thing to do. I would say do that anytime you can if you think something's going to just go crazy down there. But how many fights get flipped because the enemy team overcommits to trying to kill somebody in bot lane and you teleport down, and either they have to immediately back off because you're coming in and they probably aren't going to win a 3v2 unless they are able to kill somebody in the in-between, but you can always cancel teleport once you start it. Or they have to keep going harder because they know one of them is going to die. So they have to take something for it, and you can force them between you and the turret. Time and again it happens. If you can flip that into a double kill or even get one kill and then like shove it to turret so that the minion wave starts dying, you just got a huge advantage for your team. And if your jungler's around, you can immediately go take Dragon. That is way, way more worth it than going to lane and getting that one wave of CS that you would have missed otherwise.
Right. Something to keep in mind with teleport plays is, as a top laner, is the only time that you should be matching teleports is into big team fights. Right? You don't, if the person teleports, okay, I say only time, but for like the majority of time, you're matching a teleport into top lane. Or excuse me, in team fight.
You know that the enemy top laner is teleporting bot. You know that you have an advantage on him, and you immediately teleport bot to turn what was going to be a 3v2 to their advantage into a 3v3, and you show up and you already know you're stronger than they are.
I really like teleporting when the enemy teleports because in high reloads, people will stop their teleports.
Yes, they get scared.
And so you can stop your teleport too. And by
it's
just
the same
doing
thing,
that, you just switch games.
If you know that a jungler, and this is a tip for junglers, if you're being ganked and you're on comms with somebody in top that has teleport up and you have a ward, drop it and say you need him to teleport. If they're being invaded when that happens, that teleport most of the time will scare them away and your jungler will live. Like you can use teleport as a deterrent for the enemy team to like back off from aggression. Yes, they'll go in and be aggressive right after you either cancel or you're in there, unless you're strong enough to scare them away once you do get there. But honestly, it's worth blowing a 3-minute cooldown to make sure that two teammates stay alive. 5-minute cooldown, sorry.
Unless you have 15% reduction.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the boots that give you the lowered cooldown.
No,
I don't think
distortion boots.
Not distortion boots. The summoner cooldown reduction in.
Well, you get that, but
tree.
Distortion boots also gives you
10%.
Yeah, it reduces flash, ghost, and that. It's beautiful.
Everything. All summoner spells.
All summoner spells by 10%.
Oh, you're talking about the enchantment.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about being ahead in lane and then using your teleport. Even more so if you're ahead in lane and your bot lane is slightly behind in lane, if they're two behind, you might get turned on. But if they're behind, your bot lane's behind, they're likely getting pushed in. That means you don't need even that deep of a ward. You just need it in that first bush. And if they're getting dove, you could turn that real quick.
No,
So
then
if you're
that's-
ahead,
That's the nice
your bot
thing.
lane's behind. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
like
a more
if
prime
if they
opportunity.
get dove, you just get in there and okay, worst case, they kill one of the people at bot, and then you can just pick up a fat, juicy double.
kill.
Or you show up, you save everybody, you spread a bunch of gold around, and your bot lane who was behind now isn't behind anymore. So
Alternatively, some champions can just walk up bot lane if they have their teleport and just save their teleport, walk up bot lane, get a kill,
Do that,
and
then go
then go back top and not miss a wave.
and that's a smart way to do it.
God,
as well.
that is so hard to. That is so hard to teach the walking and the moving around the map.
It just takes a lot of playing top lane. I don't play a ton of top lane, but there's definitely a lot of times
it took me
where
2 years to understand how to like really use teleport. And even then, I'm not perfect about it. But that was like 2 years of training myself with map awareness. And even then, when we were playing the other day, and I'm in bottom lane is playing Ezreal, do you know how badly I tunneled on that lane and didn't look at the map like ever? Because I don't play bottom lane, so it's really
you
hard
have to
for me
really
look at the
concentrate on
map.
that micro
Right.
of CSing and whatnot. I kinda have the
That's
same
a
issue when
comfort thing, though. Like,
Yeah.
that's comfort for any role. You know, it's if you're not comfortable with the situation, you're going to be focusing so much on the situation. I would even say that that's part of the reason why new players they might ward and then just not pay attention to it because they're so worried about what's actually going on directly in front of them. They can't even devote a little bit of time to focusing on things that are just slightly out of their direct vision.
Boom! That just made me
Imagine
think of
that.
something that I got a question. I've got a couple questions actually about it because people are like, "Wow, you're climbing really fast," and it's only been it's been 2 weeks, and I'm already up to my gold 2 promos, right, from Silver 1, right? So people are like, "Why? How are you climbing so fast? What are you doing? What are you doing this season?" I don't feel like
Winning games.
One guy actually asked me, winning games. He goes, "I haven't heard you talk about yourself recently. What are you doing?" It made me laugh. Apparently, I'm not talking about myself enough on the podcast.
And people are surprised by it.
Yeah, right. They are. But he asked me what you're doing, and I said, I'm just playing the lane out for 20 minutes and then making plays where I know I'm strong. Like, I'm not a Riven or Fiora player because, as much as I could play Renekton and outduel somebody.
You're not brute force mechanical matchup stomp on someone.
No, I'm not. I have my mechanics are good. My meta game and my shot calling is better. And so when I play somebody like Malphite or Nautilus or in the top lane, I will start wrecking kids in solo queue because my teleports and my meta map roaming is better than the enemy top laner is. And that's how I'm climbing is by I've recognized my strengths, as I just said, and I'm using those to my advantage. And I'm playing champions that allow me to do exactly what I know I'm good at doing, and that's engaging fights. So if you are looking for a way to climb and potentially climb quickly, sit down. We always talk about recording your games, watching your game stuff. I finally downloaded Plays TV, and I
like it?
I love it.
It's pretty
So
good.
much fun.
I rewatch. I don't rewatch all my games, but I go to specific points in my games to rewatch pieces, and I'm like, that's what I did wrong. And it's helping me become a better player because I can go back and recognize and dissect pieces that are wrong. Like, I was going to joke earlier about that Trundle play was going to happen because later in the game, my team engages 2v5, and I stand on the outside of the entire fight. You can see my Moo walking, and I'm like, you don't go in that. Oh, you went in that. And then I curse my team out. You can hear it on the plays. I was going to go clip that and put that up there so people could listen to me curse my team out. Because I'll just hear shit, hear myself talking. I'm like, oh, man, I talk a lot of shit to myself.
Dude, I call everyone I kill a motherfucker. I feel terrible. But no one knows but me and everybody who just heard this.
And if you upload any Plays TV clips.
Yeah, you go check me out on Plays TV. It's just me talking shit.
Yeah, we're on Plays TV. I'm pwnophobia. He's Tallanasty, Tallanasty.
The actual and only way to spell the name.
Tallanasty.
Fuck you
And
very
Chira
much.
Jaden is the hardest name to ever spell, but it's really
Oh my
easy once you
God.
get used to it.
Yeah, it's super
I'm
easy
still
once
not
you
used
figure
to it. I put 2 E's in it.
Well, you clearly just don't love me enough. So go fuck
Here's how
yourself.
you do it. You know how you do the Aether, which is the AE? It's Chira, J, Aether,
A-E.
or D-E-N. So the A-E goes together. It's really easy once you look. You're like,
Aether?
oh, that makes sense. Aether.
Like Aether Wisp.
People can be
Just fall into the Aether.
Yeah, people gonna be yelling at me, but like Aether Wisp. So I recommend downloading Plays TV, if not only to go and watch yourself play, because come on, we're all a little bit egotistical and have fun watching ourselves do something stupid. But to be able to go through your games easily. It does take up 10 gigabytes of storage on your hard drive, and it does run while you're playing the game.
You can just close it out if you don't want to record games, and it won't do anything though.
I record everything. It does record spectating games, so if you find yourself spectating a lot, it will record. But it only takes up 10 gigabytes of space in your hard drive. So it'll delete your last game and then overwrite the rest.
Yeah, it's I was a late adopter to this probably, but I like it a lot. It's been helpful in just like, where did something go wrong? Okay, this is where, man, I really sat on the outside of that fight way too long, and I should have done something way sooner. Especially when like I didn't even notice that this person was way out in the open. I could have done something. And then,
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed, Chira, from myself is that I will engage in a fight and I'll back off and assess the situation longer than I need to.
And you want to come back in late.
And then I'll come back in late. I watched a couple of those replays. Sorry, Tally. You remember the replay where we 3v1'd them? Bottom lane, or 3v2'd, I'm sorry. Bottom lane where I got engaged on. I could have swore I hit flash early. So next I need to add on that adds the hotkeys that I'm pressing at the time I'm pressing them so I can see it.
I've seen that. Which one is that?
There's got to be something out there, right?
I've seen clips of it online somewhere where it shows them like left clicking and right clicking and stuff like that.
I need that on my
All
overlay.
I know is
Because I could have swore I hit F before they engaged on me. But
I
nope.
have video evidence of the fastest reaction flash I've ever had.
Oh my god, I tagged him in it. So if you could find him, and I don't know how it works with tags, or if you find me, I uploaded it. It was basically a Jarvan flash EQing us from the bush. We were like both low health because I got my first gank off in the game. I was level 3. We got a kill. They burned flash. I burned flash. And
We're both
he
at
was
like less than
yeah,
150 health.
Yeah. So, but we were like, he needs help clearing the wave, and I have decent wave clear. So we're like, let's shove it to tower. And as we're doing that, this J4 is waiting in the bush, just waiting for us to finish pushing up, and he flash EQs us, and we both. I dash up, and he
splits
down.
the uprights between.
It was
flash
a fucking
and dash.
field goal, yeah.
Yeah.
And
didn't
I
like
think
that.
both of us were like,
"What the fuck
"Whoa!"
is that?" And then just get out. And the worst part about that entire video is right at the end, I'm like, nope, we can fight him, and I have no health at all, and I'm going for it.
Yeah, you
And
taunted him.
and then you're like, no, we're not doing it. I'm like, okay, and I back away. That's fun though.
Yeah, so these are the kind of fun stories you can have. You can go back and watch them, and you can laugh at yourself, and you can post them on Twitter. You can post them on the. Maybe we should make a hashtag like T-Force Plays or something, and you can tag us in it, and we'll make a compilation, throw it up on YouTube. I think that might be fun if you wanted to use that hashtag T-Force Plays. I don't want to steal Lola. The Lola podcast is already doing that. I don't want to steal their idea, but if you want to do it, T-Force Plays is fine. So.
We're gonna get like a bunch of bronze plays though.
What? Wow, you just got really mean. You were just the meanest.
I mean, so far my plays are that flash, and I mid lane Jarvan killed someone with an E. That's about it.
Hey, Donut Night, you'd be surprised, buddy. You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, he said he doesn't see many people talk about this podcast. You'd actually be surprised by the number of times that I get recognized in the goddamn game. I don't know. I think we might have to kind of taper out there unless we get other. Do you have anything else to stand on, or any other books to put under that soapbox to make it a little higher?
I think tanks are making a comeback.
I agree with that.
I'll continue on vision. Tanks, yes, and I'll continue on vision because we're talking about the minimap. Just train yourself to look at the minimap every 5 seconds if you can, if you're laning. And if you're jungling, don't fucking sit there and micro every single camp constantly. Be looking at the lanes.
I sit.
Look at the
I
stats.
will jungle, but almost the entire time I'm in the jungle, I'm just staring.
I
at
spectated Shira the other day. He stood at blue, just whacking. He's like, Just
Who was
smacking
I
it. It
playing?
doesn't even. You're playing Udyr. I watched that Udyr. I watched the beginning of the Udyr game. You know what's funny? That Udyr game you lost that you're talking about with Whale with the big team. I watched you get first blood. I watched you die bottom lane, and I went, he's going to lose this game. And then I looked later, and you did. I could just tell just by the way the game went at 4 minutes or like 7
die
minutes.
bottom. I got the
No,
double
you
kill
did.
bottom.
You got ulted by Malphite and died for
No,
your first
I
kill.
didn't die bot lane. I
Yes, you
killed.
did. Yes, you did.
I started the game 3-0, and because
then maybe it was another Udyr game.
You're
You were
listening to the wrong game.
No, that was
I will pull up. You know what? I have.
Pull it up. You
I
got
have
alted
played Stevie
by
for this.
golems. Bottom lane is Udyr into Malphite after you had ganked bot and got a double kill. You walked over to go take golems and got alted by Malphite
Okay,
and
I
died.
remember that one.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Just real podcast material.
No. Okay, anybody doesn't watch this, Sean and I argue about plays in the game all the time.
All right, as much as Adam and I might love each other on the show, we're so mean to each other in game. It's amazing. Well, like we just bitch at each other nonstop. It's pretty great.
Anyway, yeah, no,
Adam,
tanks.
you can't fuck up around me, or I'm gonna call you out on it.
I just called you out, motherfucker. As soon as you died, I was like, this game's over.
I'll go find. I will. I know exactly what you're talking about
Yeah,
now.
I remember because
Yeah,
you
if you're playing
you were
Israel,
being a
don't
greedy
throw
boy.
items here.
Yeah, I got 3. I ended up getting 3 kills. I'm like, I can do anything, and then I couldn't do anything.
He got ulted by
all.
a roving Malphite. It was great. It
Yeah.
died. I love it. I remember watching the turtle come out of the body and going, "Oh, poor Sean."
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. The tanks are making comebacks, specifically because Devour is so much harder to stack now with 2 to 3 extra
I would
minutes.
say that, but I think too, it's just like
People are
a lot
just-
of people, a lot of the champions that people are picking right now aren't the best tank shredders. So like, you can just get a couple tanks. It doesn't matter if their damage is all that great, as if they're not movable. And you have one person that can do a decent amount of damage. Like what? We lost that game the other day because they had a bunch of tanks and then a Yasuo that just got out of control. And we couldn't kill Yasuo. So we ended up getting like 2 quadra kills because our team was locked down.
Yeah, I love tanks. I think it's silly. I've seen Sejuani win just about every game, and the thing is, if I go and play her, I will lose. But that's because my team won't pick around the Sejuani. Just like if I pick a Mumu, I always have this internal argument with myself when I pick a Mumu because I'm like, I could really carry with some sweet burst damage between my Q and Runic Echoes, but then I won't be tanky going into mid game. So then when I build tanky, the enemy team is doing more damage and more work than I am and not killing the people. And I'm like, every fucking time I pick a Mumu, this happens to me. I just can't win. So I stick to top lane now. I mean, I still really like jungling, but for the most part, I found more success in top lane and solo queue. So
I've had more success laning right now than jungling too, so I hear that. But it is what it is.
maybe we're just not good junglers, Chira.
I might be really bad now. Who knows?
I'm having to pick up mid or top lane because if I do my main 2 roles, which used to be jungle and support, if I couldn't get jungle, I'm just supporting. So I'm picking
And you're
up
probably
mid and top.
always supporting, aren't you? Because there's more support roles open than jungles.
Yeah, I mean, and I play support style like tank junglers anyway, so that's just kind of my
Unless you're
mindset.
playing
And I'm
with
terrible at CSing because I just spent like 3 years in the jungle, never leaving for the longest time when I was on teams. So yeah, that's why I always defaulted to support in solo queue. Back in the old days, I would get jungle more often than I do now. So I'm picking up laning now, and I'm just doing a lot more top lane and mid lane
As he
so that I
still
can
plays
actually
Maokai.
get jungle.
Instead
Yep.
of anything else.
Season 2, Season 3, all Maokai. Just look at my LoL King. I just played a shit ton of Maokai, so I mean, I still win a shit ton of games with the top lane, so it might not be the most meta, but
You just need to play Graves top and just burst people to death.
yeah, I was looking at that new lifesteal tank Graves build that people are talking about. I can do that.
Warlord's tank Graves.
Yeah.
The Death Dance first item into like Sterex and stuff.
I didn't see that one yet.
So Dyrus playing it the other day, and I saw a couple YouTube videos covering it, how it works. Just because you get a shit ton of resistances from your passive, and then Death Dance, you get like all your health back for the QR and stuff like that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, tonight I'm going to play Fiora, just letting you guys know. So that is wrapping up the Trinity Force podcast as I make the circle swing finger sign in the air. Oh, it's been a day, guys. I'm sorry. That's just, I can just tell at the end of the podcast, it's just been a day. And yeah, So that's it. Does anyone else have anything else they want to throw out there? Do you want to tell people to come on March 26th? We understand it's Easter weekend. We apologize. But you know what? You are probably sitting at your parents' house that night anyway as you prepare for your Easter egg hunt at 25 years old the next morning with your fresh new girlfriend that your parents don't let you sleep together. So you'll sneak out in the middle of the night and you'll go and drink out by the car and then fall asleep together and then move before your parents come out in the morning. So there we go, guys. That's it. That's episode number 343 of the Trinity Force podcast as I push you all into the real life zone. Guys, we'll see you all next week. Peace.